Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one for throwing out my boyfriend and his psychic friend when they claim to see my dead grandparents? I was raised by my grandparents. Nan passed 4 years ago, and Granddad a year later. When Granddad passed, he left me their house. I'm not personally superstitious, but my granddad was Irish, and Nan was Russian, so superstition is in my blood. My stance is that the whole concept is a little far-fetched, but I'm not about to be the dumb bitch in the horror movie who f's around with the supernatural to prove it's fake and ends up cursed. My boyfriend thinks my view is stupid and believes in stuff like psychics, and always encourages me to open my mind. He also has a friend who claims to be psychic. Yesterday my boyfriend had the psychic over. I leave the room, come back, and the psychic is staring at Nan and Granddad's chairs. I ask what's up and the psychic friend just casually says that she can see my grandparents. My first thought is they're freaking with me, so I say yeah, sure you can. But she insists she can see them. I say that's not freaking funny, but she again insists she can see them. Then she says to me this was their home, wasn't it? I can tell they spent decades here, which, first off, I'm like 99% sure I told her I inherited it, and second, they bought this place when I was 11. Then she says that they have a message for me. She starts saying random generic crap, like how they're always with me and they're proud of me. While I don't doubt that, I doubt that they were the ones saying it to her. I asked her if Granddad was wearing the old baseball cap he always wore, and she said yes. My granddad hated hats with a passion and didn't own a baseball cap, so any doubt I might have had was well and truly gone with that. I told her to get the F out of my house. My boyfriend protested, said she was trying to help, and I told him to get out, too. My boyfriend lives with his brother, so he had somewhere to go. While the psychic left immediately, my boyfriend hung around outside for about 30 minutes telling me he was just trying to help and begging me to let him in as his keys were on the hook. Eventually I took my key off his keyring, then gave him his keys through the letterbox, and he realized he couldn't get back in, got mad, and only left when I confirmed we were over via text. It's been about 36 hours and my now ex-boyfriend has made clear that he thinks I'm an asshole, which I expected, but what I wasn't expecting was all but one member of our friend group to side with him and the psychic, and that is what's made me doubt myself. The collective response is that I'm an asshole because they were just trying to help me, even though they went about it all wrong, and I could have just told them to stop and not gone straight to kicking them both out. And they feel that I went from 0 to 60 rather than hearing them out and I should apologize. I think I might be TA because I did escalate the situation really fast. I intentionally tried to prove her wrong when they both actually believed in that stuff, something I wouldn't do to another religion. And of 14 people, only one, who is also my ex and met my grandparents, doesn't think I'm in the wrong. And when 13 out of a total of 14 people think you're an asshole, you're probably an asshole. Am I the unreasonable one and should I apologize? Info. My boyfriend knew about the hat thing beforehand, but must have forgotten, and when he was out of the house I reminded him, to which he responded that I sounded so earnest when asking about Granddad's hat, that I must have confused the psychic into altering her vision of my granddad to include the hat. Info. The reason they believed I needed to speak to someone was that despite being at peace with my grandparents passing, about a week ago my boyfriend and I discussed kids and I said if I ever ended up naming a child, already have a son, but I didn't name him, then I'd want to work my grandparents' names into their name somehow, probably as a first or middle name. He took that to mean I wasn't fully over their passing and needed closure. Not the unreasonable one. Pretending to see someone's dead relatives is an awful thing to do to someone. Not the unreasonable one. As a pagan, and believer in spirits, I can say that would piss me off. Just trying to help makes no sense. You don't help people by lying to them, you help by accepting them. Honestly, I'd have invented new swear words just to use on them. If your friends all side with them, it means they only told their side of the story that favored them. The fact that they apparently don't care that this woman offended you by lying about your loved ones means you might need some new friends. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to support my younger sister through college when it's our fault she doesn't have a college fund? I, 21 years old female, have two siblings, Ian, 22 years old male, and Amy, 17 years old female. I'm asking for both Ian and I. We have a complicated dynamic. Ian and I are extremely close, but Ian and Amy hate each other. Simply put, my parents are extreme tiger parents. Since we were 7, they enrolled us in tons of classes trying to find something we were exceptional at: chess, debate, math, etc. Since Ian and I are only 1 year apart, we went through this process together. We both had different things we were talented at, and our parents put extreme amounts of time and money into cultivating us. Because we gave them a lot of face, we were our parents' favorites. However, that wasn't something to celebrate. We were both subject to intense abusive pressure. If our grades dropped or we failed at a competition, we wouldn't be allowed to eat dinner. Our parents also often used to lock us in a tiny closet in the dark for hours. Ian was afraid of the dark. We were also basically banned from having friends, and so we were each other's only friends throughout our entire childhoods, which makes us closer than normal siblings. I know it's weird to have your brother be your best friend, but we're the only people who can understand each other's experiences, so we're super close. However, once our parents realized Amy wasn't a genius, they concentrated only on Ian and I, which she resents us for. Ian hates Amy. Our parents never punished her like us. She was allowed to have friends, waste time, etc. When we were locked in the closet, Ian would beg Amy to turn the lights on, and she'd never do it. Sometimes she'd even mock him. When Amy acted out for attention and annoyed our mother, she took it out on Ian. In high school, we were doing our activities on a national/inter level, which our parents spent around $60K a year on. We were both very successful, so we were semi-famous in our school. As a result, Amy was compared to us constantly by friends, teachers, etc. Our parents also never spent as much on her as they did on us. Ian and I went to expensive Ivies which our parents paid for. These expenses were coming from what should have been Amy's college fund. We were visiting when our parents told her, and she was furious. They told her they didn't think she was Ivy worthy, so the money was better spent on us. She was screaming and crying, and threw and broke some of Ian's stuff. Now that she's applying to colleges, she asked us if we could pay for her since it's our fault her fund is gone. Technically Ian could. He'll soon be at a very high-paying job, but I'm going to grad school which puts me in debt. Ian wants to pay for me so I don't have to be dependent on our parents anymore, which I'm very grateful for. So, he replied that he can't. He was paying for my grad school, but even if he could he wouldn't. She's a dumb brat. She said he was just like our mother, which is the worst insult you could say to him. She messaged me to appeal, but I have no money to support her. Also, sorry, I stepped away from the post for a little while. I've gotten several vitriolic PMs comparing me to my parents and other insults that set off a panic attack. I'd like to clarify a few things that I didn't expand on in the OP because of the word count. We do acknowledge that Amy suffered from emotional neglect, but we are struggling to come to terms ourselves with the complexity of the privilege gained from elite education at the cost of our childhoods. A lot of you claim we abandoned her knowing she was being abused. When we left for college, we did not consider what she went through as abuse, which was wrong. But to us at the time, her neglect seemed like a much better alternative to what we had. Even if she'd disagree, our parents' pressure for us to be successful did not stop after college, so between that and having to develop social skills for the first time, we didn't have time to maintain or build a relationship with her. By the time we could acknowledge she had gone through her own crap, she was 15 and didn't want a relationship with us apart from gifts and stuff. Ian and Amy's relationship is very complicated. I said they hate each other, but that may not have been the best descriptor. He doesn't care about her. It was more of an actual hatred when we were younger, but we were never abusive to her. We just ignored her, which was also in part because the age gap made it harder for us to interact with her. Plus in high school specifically, we were much too busy to really start cultivating a relationship. His hatred has faded into more of a dislike, mostly driven because of how triggering she is to him. When you're locked in a closet for hours without food, and your little sister literally recites what they had for dinner in front of the door, she becomes associated with that memory and those feelings. Some of you pointed out that Ian called Amy a dumb brat. He did so because she destroyed some sentimental items of his the last time he saw her and never apologized, yet was asking for money. Does that make his response justified? Not necessarily, but it was a one-time thing. I don't mean to write this in a way that does not acknowledge her struggles, but I can only write from Ian and I's perspective. I can't tell you about what Amy thinks about this. Not the unreasonable one. You and Ian didn't cause this problem, your parents caused the problem. Be playing favorites with their children. Everyone sucks here. Poor Amy, poor Ian, poor you, and your parents are dreadful. You should pull together the three of you and admit that your parents are toxic and support one another. Amy must feel so left out from your genius team of two, especially with the constant comparisons. Ian should be kinder to Amy. She's as much a victim of the terrible parenting as the two of you are, and you two have each other for support. Who does Amy have? Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to change even though I was apparently making someone seriously uncomfortable? So I have a very unique sense of style. I always wear black dresses and lace and black ribbons. I don't own an item of clothing that isn't black. I have long straight hair that I dye black and wear black makeup. I feel confident when I'm in my gothic clothing and understand that it's a little odd. A few days ago I had a get together with a few friends. One of them brought his brother whom I hadn't met before. When the brother came in he immediately started acting strangely toward me, seeming very nervous and stuff. Fine, I understand I look a little different, but I tried my best to make him feel welcome. A few hours passed and the brother suddenly stated that my style was making him severely uncomfortable. He said that I reminded him too much of someone from his past he associated trauma with. He asked if I would be willing to take off my makeup and maybe change my clothes. I was completely stunned and just said no. The brother got extremely upset and told me he knew he was being unreasonable, but I looked too much like that person in his past and please just take off the makeup at least. I continued to refuse and he eventually left in tears. Our friend group is divided, with half knowing that my style is huge on who I am and the other half stating that it was only for a few hours and it wasn't a big deal, but I think it was. If I had done it once it would have set a precedent for every time this guy came over I would have to dress and look completely different. If he was so uncomfortable with my style then his brother should have warned him. So am I the unreasonable one? Edit. This seems to be important. His trauma was that his ex-girlfriend had denied his marriage proposal and she apparently looked and dressed just like me. Not the unreasonable one. He can't go through life expecting people to conform to his every whim, feeling, or desire. Asking someone that, especially someone you've never met before, is totally unreasonable. LOL. The edit on my sides. Home slice is insulting everyone who has, actual trauma. What's next? Should OP get plastic surgery so she'll look less like his ex? Not the unreasonable one, OP. Obviously. Am I the unreasonable one for prohibiting my mother from seeing my child because she's tricked him into thinking she's his mom? Throwaway to avoid anyone recognizing me. I have a now 3-year-old son, who was living with my mom, his grandma, for a year while I was away getting myself together. For personal reasons I will not explain why I was away for so long, but I felt I needed to better myself for my son. My mother agreed to take care of him while I was away. I FaceTimed with him whenever I could. Fast forward to last month. I come to my mother's house to pick up my son. He's happy to see me and my mother are talking while he is playing with his dinosaurs. He suddenly looks up at my mother and says, "Mommy, I'm thirsty." I was obviously confused, and asked my mother if she heard him call her mom. She laughed nervously and said that he had been calling her that for a while. She basically explained that while I was away she told him that she was his mom and to call her that. I laughed and told her that I wasn't comfortable with that, since she wasn't the one who birthed him. I told her he should know that she's his grandmother, not his mom. She got upset and told me that he needed a mother figure while I was gone, and she was just trying to fill that role for him. She said something along the lines of, "I've been his mother for a year now, and you can't change it." We went back and forth until it got to the point where we started raising our voices. She spat out some insults about me being a bad mom for being away for so long and how she should be his mom cause he doesn't need a mom like me. I simply told her that she isn't going to be seeing him anymore because I'm not comfortable with him calling her mom. We gathered his stuff and left after that. She blew up my phone for days, talked some mess to family members, anything she could to make me look/feel bad, but I refused to forgive her, especially after all that stuff she said. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, a word for those of you saying I abandoned him. I didn't. I was too sick to take care of him. That's all I'm going to say about that. I couldn't be the best mother to him cause of my medical issues. I wanted to be there for him. I didn't just dump him on my mother. I feel the need to explain that cause people are getting the wrong idea. It was possible for him to visit, but my mom said it would be best if he didn't see me like that cause he'd be too young to understand. And I trusted her, so I didn't allow him to visit. No, I wasn't in a mental hospital or rehab. It was physical health reasons. A lot of you are saying you think I was in rehab because of the way I've worded things in my post. Rather than edit out the original, I'd just like to explain that it's probably not the best wording to use for this situation and I understand that now. What I meant to say was I felt I needed to be in better health for my son. Getting myself together in my head pretty much means getting better and healthier. I apologize for that. This will probably be my last edit. My son is getting a therapist like a lot of you have recommended. I'm considering working things out with my mother, only because I don't want her fighting for custody. Still unsure though. Everyone sucks here. Grandma could have easily clarified to your son what her relationship is, and being a mother figure doesn't have to mean that she has to be called mom. However, you clearly are aware that you have some issues you had to work out and your mom did something big for agreeing to help raise your kid. You're now cutting him off from an important person in his life for the last year since the two adults can't work out their issues. Two of you need to talk and figure this out and dig into the larger issues. maybe even with some counseling or outside help. I have to wonder what people's responses would be if, say, you were away for a year serving your country, or working long periods traveling to support your son, and your mom pulled this move. People don't think mental illness is a real thing, until it's theirs. Am I the unreasonable one? I did a name change. My parents are hippies, the anti-establishment type. They named me, M19, Ivy Rain, and my sister, 15, Icy Strawberry. I had to use a nickname so I don't sound like an idiot. So when I turned 18 and graduated high school, before I went to college, I changed my name. Now I have a normal name, Bill, middle name, a normal one, last name. I told them that and they got angry, that I disrespected their lifestyle and name choices. My sister wants to change her name too, and I'm not sure what they'll say. But am I the unreasonable one because I changed my name? Not the unreasonable one, it's your name. You should be able to change it if you want. Not the unreasonable one, you're an adult and you want a normal sounding name. As much as people like the idea of their kids having a unique name, those kids have to live with it. You lived with it for 18 years and got tired of it. Am I the unreasonable one for not telling a stranger my dog's treats aren't vegan? Throwaway. I needed to go get my dog's food at the pet store this morning. I brought my dog because she's been going to training since my state opened up, and it was a great opportunity to bring her there and get some distraction exposure. While I was there was a young woman, maybe early 20s, who was walking around and she saw my dog. I said hi when she looked down at my dog and she asked if she could pet her. I said of course, Hallie is very friendly and it's great for socializing. She kneeled down and started petting her and telling her she was a good girl. I had a treat pouch and I asked if she would like to give Hallie a treat. She said she would love to. So I gave her a few and she asked if Hallie knew any tricks. She did down, sit, and paw and took the treats gently. After a minute or so, the woman looked at her hand and asked what kind of treats they were, and I told her they were beef liver. She backed up away from us, and if I could see her entire face, I'm sure her jaw would be dropped. She said something like, "Why didn't you tell me what they were?" Very upset. I was shocked. I didn't think it mattered, so I said, "I'm so sorry. Are you allergic?" I thought maybe that was the issue. She said, "No, I'm vegan." She went on to say that I should have told her what they were before I offered them, and that I was a disgusting person for not saying anything or thinking about another person. I was honestly too flabbergasted to even say anything else. She just walked away holding her hand out away from her to, I'm assuming, the bathroom to wash her hand. I kind of feel like the because I didn't say anything about the type of treat. But also, she's a dog and most dog treats are meat-based. I don't eat meat, but I understand that my dog needs to, so I regularly handle meat for her. It doesn't bother me much now. And at the same time, I also feel like if you don't want to handle animal products, maybe ask what kind of treats they are before you take them. But I still can't shake the feeling that I'm in the wrong because I didn't say anything, and I understand how she felt about handling the treats. Am I the unreasonable one? Should I have said what type of treats they were before handing them to her? Hallie tax. Link 1 in description. Not the unreasonable one. Why would anyone think dog treats are vegan is beyond me. Not the unreasonable one. I am vegan, sorry to be a stereotype and mention lol. And I buy meat-based dog treats for my dog and prepare all his food which has meat or fish in. I am not the one eating it, and he eats meat because he is a dog, and I feel like I don't know enough about animal nutrition to not give him food without meat. If she was that bothered, she should have asked you what they were. So ridiculous. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.